Hi, my name is Kristen Wray. I'm a master level Reiki practitioner. I do sessions online and in person here in Chicago. If you would like a session with me, feel free to email me at kaw.reiki@yahoo.com. That's kaw.reiki@yahoo.com. Or you can leave a message or text me at 872-221-0576. That's 872-221-0576. I started practicing Reiki for myself. I had begun doing some Hatha yoga, and I started a mindful meditation practice. And I also started doing some personal work with an organization called Women Within, where I learned how to talk about my feelings in words, because my family of origin, that was not I realized that I needed to be more centered in my body, and so I was searching for something different, and I came upon Reiki. When I tried it, I didn't know what to think about what was taught, but it felt better, and I decided that I would continue to pursue it. My father died unexpectedly, and I went into a deep depression with the grief. I think it's common to have depression with grief, and I needed a way to start moving forward, and the Reiki helped me be more grounded in my body. Doing Reiki as a business practice didn't really start out with a dry start. It was more gradual. I began to go to what we call Reiki shares, where Reiki practitioners come together and we practice Reiki on each other. And as that happened, I started getting some interest of people wanting to work with me individually, one-on-one. And so I started having a few clients come over to my house, but it wasn't an optimal situation. So then I found a place to rent. We're from Chicago originally, and we moved around. My dad's job moved us to Minnesota and back to Illinois, and then we ended up in Georgia, where I went to high school and college in Georgia, and I studied mathematics, and I worked as an accountant for a number of years until I got married, and my husband's job brought me back here to Chicago, so that's how I ended up here in Chicago. I didn't really work a lot, but at some point we ended up living in the dormitories on the University of Chicago. They have a program where senior faculty and their families live in the dormitories with the students, and in that we lived there with the students, and we did a lot of programming, social and cultural programming with them. We would take them to the opera and sporting events, and we'd have receptions. We had an arts festival, and then we also had a weekly mindfulness meditation program where the students would come to our home once a month or once a week, and we would do meditations with them. We felt that it was really great. Some of the students really got into meditation and found that it helped them a lot in their lives, that they were able to be more grounded and take better care of themselves. And for me, it was an opportunity to hold meditation sessions. And then there's another aspect of my life is where I'm a fiber artist and I make jewelry, so I'm a creator. And so I was moving from the very rigid part of the rigorous mathematics to a more artistic expression. I felt like I needed more in my life than what I was doing, and I'm a very curious person, so the Reiki really helps fill that space. I did need more of creativity in my work life. My hands just like making things. And the Reiki is also a way of using my hands to be creative and help people. I graduated from Georgia State University with a degree in mathematics, and I began working as an accountant at various corporations. When I got married, we moved to Illinois, and this is how we ended up here in Illinois. And then we spent some time living in the dormitories with students. During that time, we did various programming with the students, and it included mindfulness meditation that we held every week. I became a hand weaver, and I also make jewelry. And I found that making these things kept my hands busy, and the energy I use for making and creating, I also use when I am helping people with Reiki. Relate with the mathematics, there's a very rigid aspect to weaving where I have to plan everything. There's a weave structure, and the cloth has to go on the loom in a certain way. And when I'm throwing the shuttle and laying in the threads, there's a creativity in that, and also in the planning. So my hands are very active, just because that's my nature. And then I find when I'm doing the Reiki, I use the same energies that I use to create the fabrics. In the Japanese form of Reiki that I practice, meditation is inextricably connected to it. When I'm actually doing a session and concentrating on moving the energy, it is just like a mindfulness meditation. The focus is on the emptiness and the light. That is the focus of a mindfulness meditation. I became a Reiki master teacher in 2018, so that's when I really started to become more active in working with other people. I find that I teach naturally. When I'm with others in the share, I'm always pointing out something that they could help improve. Well, improve's not really the word, but incorporate in their practice so that it will be more effective for them. I offer Reiki sessions that are a half an hour long or 60 minutes long, and they can be online or they can be in person. I offer Reiki instruction or treatments. And for me, the treatments can look like a hands-on healing or meditation, or it could be Reiki chanting or sound healing. I like to accommodate the client with the treatments that are most appropriate for them. It's important to recognize that everybody's different, and everybody needs different things at different times. And so listening to the client and giving them the treatment that they need at the time is really important. For me, technology of video conferencing with clients in my own practice isn't any different. I've been doing this since before the pandemic started. My teachers are in Holland and Australia, and so in order to have classes with them, it wouldn't have to be online like that. But with the COVID pandemic, when we were on lockdown, I stopped seeing clients in person, and so online is a great option. Video conferencing with a software like Zoom is very helpful. When we meet with Zoom, there are a lot of options that we can talk together. We can have the session online where we see each other and we can actually talk to each other during the session. And also it gives the option of being able to record it, so the client can go back and rewatch the session and get some more benefit out of it. Yeah, there are a number of ethical situations that Reiki practitioners need to deal with. One is that being really clear that we are not medical practitioners, we don't diagnose people's conditions and we don't give medical advice. And I need to remember that when they, sometimes the client says, oh, well, what do you think about this that you found? And I have to tell them they need to go ask their doctor about it. Another ethical issue is with Reiki is that we're actually touching people, and we need to recognize that different people have different experiences with being touched. And so when I'm in a session, I'm very clear about where I'm going to touch somebody or how, and so that they know what I'm doing, and that we agree on it. Because some people have a history of trauma or some experiences that makes touching. So I can be respectful of the client's boundaries and make sure they feel safe. Another issue would be confidentiality. And I respect the client's privacy very much. Anything that happens during a session I feel is very private, and I don't speak about those things. And the last thing is that different states have different laws about Reiki practitioners touching their clients. In Illinois, I'm able to touch the clients in a certain way. I can put my hands on them or take them off. In other states, we can't touch them at all, and you have to put your hands over them and do the treatment sort of hovering over their bodies. And so it's important that as Reiki practitioners, we know what the laws are in the states we're practicing in. I'm not sure if it sets me apart from other practitioners, but I really believe that listening to my clients is important, and that is something that really drives how our sessions are going to go. There's a philosophy in Reiki that the energy goes where it's needed, and with the client's intention, what they say wants to happen, and then with the skills that I've learned on how to help send Reiki, I think that my clients find a lot of benefit from that. The message I have about pursuing your dreams is just believe that they're possible. Envision yourself as you're doing them, and do the research to see what steps you need to take. And then, do a little bit every day, and then you'll put yourself in a mindset that you're already attaining those dreams, and just really believe that's what ask yourself, what can I do today that can move me forward towards my dreams? And you can take little steps. It's important to make the little steps, and then you'll be moving in the right direction. But always believe that your dreams are attainable. Well, I've been doing 2 different kinds of sessions these days. The online sessions, we meet on Zoom or some conference. I'll ask the client, how they're feeling and what they want from the session. And then, because we're separate, I do a little meditation or something to ground the client so that they can be more receptive to receiving the Reiki. And then we'll actually do the session, and the client will be either laying down or sitting up, but in a position that is comfortable for them, and receive Reiki, and I will be sending them the Reiki. There's time to talk. After the sessions are finished, there's an opportunity to talk about the impressions that we both have. And I do have the option of recording the sessions for the clients so that they can have those recordings and review them and read and benefit from the sessions another time. The in-person sessions are a little different. We meet in a studio space. The general structure is the same, where we'll talk a little bit and they'll tell me what they're looking for from the session and how they're feeling. And then they'll either lay on the table, or we can do Reiki in a chair if they're more comfortable with that. The different positions are really up to the client for their comfort. It doesn't affect me much either way. At the end, and so I'll place my hands over their body or on their body in the places where we've discussed. And when we're finished with the session, there's time for the client to center and ground, and we'll also talk about, what their impressions are, and I'll let them know what my impressions are of the session. So when the client comes in, there's a time for us to sit down and talk about how they're feeling and what they want from the session. The next thing we do is the Reiki session, where they're laying on a table or seated. And then I do the session where I place my hands on their body or hover over in places. And then when I'm completed doing the energy work, we have a seat and the client has a chance to center and ground, and then we'll have a chance to talk a little bit. Generally, people start feeling results after the first session, and to really take advantage of the full effect of Reiki, maybe 2 months would be a reasonable amount of time. If somebody has a chronic pain or anxiety, sometimes our sessions go longer. It really depends on the client. I practice a modality of Reiki that is a more Japanese lineage, and so it incorporates hands-on healing, meditation, and also sound healing. The Reiki I practice includes hands-on healing, meditation, and chanting as sound healing. I also like using crystals, not because the individual stones have meaning, but I like their energy. My personal Reiki practice every day is I try to get in some meditation and chanting, and I also do some hands-on healing on myself. I make it a point of meeting with a daily practice, or I also have a monthly practice of meeting with my teachers. I also read a lot of books and magazines and articles about Reiki to see what's going on with Reiki, so I can keep up with the information that's coming out. On a monthly basis, I leave a Reiki share so I can do Reiki in community. If somebody is interested in receiving Reiki for relaxation or to help relieve pain in their body, then that's a great. I'm open to treating anybody with whatever issues they are bringing me to talk about that we can address together. I tend to attract people with anxiety and with past traumas. And also I feel that I work with people who have chronic pain very well. I'm open to treating anybody. I tend to attract people with anxiety and past traumas, and people who have energies in their body that they want to move but can't seem to move them in any other way.